85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry. Focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans, Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
The Curry pump fake, fly by, three ball. Got it with the buzzer sounding.
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
You wish you were here. Down to 5 seconds to go. Spencer spins. Oh, he'll take a shot at the buzzer. No good. And this one's over. First of 4 in this series goes to Oklahoma City in convincing fashion. And I don't even think the Thunder played their best game tonight. I think they have a lot of room to grow and certainly going to get healthy. So the Warriors had better get their A game going before they play this team again. The defending champions look like they're going to have another fantastic regular season. Final score, 126-102. Thunder with the win. They go to 11-1. Warriors go to 6-6. And we'll try to get back above 500 tomorrow night.
Well, you heard Tim Roy there on the call for the Golden State Warriors. That was about as ugly of a game as you can put together to start a 6-game road trip. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. And you know, our network coordinator, Cameron Williams, came out at halftime of this basketball game tonight, one of which, by the way, ended 126-102, Warriors fall. And he asked me a very simple question of which I still have yet to kind of figure out and pinpoint the precise answer. He came out at halftime and he said, Evan, what happened? What went wrong in that first half? And the only thing that I can come up with still after watching 48 minutes of that basketball game is everything. Everything went wrong in that game for the Golden State Warriors. They couldn't control the ball. They couldn't put together successive offensive possessions at stretches, it felt like. They couldn't stop Oklahoma City. They couldn't knock down an open three the few chances they had it. They just flat out got steamrolled. And the one thing they also have not been able to do since opening night is win a road game. That's their 6th consecutive road loss as they fall to Oklahoma City. But in a game in which they had 20 turnovers, 12 of which in the first half, OKC was allowed to shoot 50%, 45 from three-point range, even 85 at the charity stripe. Against a team like Oklahoma City, obviously the defending NBA champions, and they're off to an 11-1 start, that just ain't going to fly. That kind of energy, that level of performance from Golden State, it's just not going to fly. They scored 44 points in the first half, lowest total for a half in this season. And in the third quarter, they just got completely steamrolled. I mean, they just got flattened, point blank, simple. And I thought it was kind of reminiscent of what the Warriors used to do to teams, to be honest. You know, part of this is the Warriors didn't play very well, and the veterans, I don't think, did a great job of leading the way. The youngsters, again, didn't have it in kind of similar to last Friday when they got walloped by Denver, but that was without Curry. Curry returns tonight off his week-long absence because of an illness, and he didn't have it either tonight. And when you don't have your best player playing well, when the parts around him aren't up to par, when defensively you can't stop SGA or at least make things difficult for him. Chet Holmgren, I think, started 8 of 8 from the field to start the game, was defensively a clog in the middle and you can't draw them out because you can't hit any three-point shots, you're going to get lambasted. You're going to get blown out. And that's what the Warriors had handed to them tonight. I know the final score was 24. And oddly enough, the unit that probably played with the most juice tonight was the back end of the bench. I think probably it's because OKC just took their foot off the gas pedal. But you got to tip your cap to the guys at the end of the bench. They played hard at the end of the game. Maybe can give some momentum to the Warriors moving tomorrow because it doesn't get any easier. This was the front end of a back-to-back, and the Warriors did not have a ton of life, and what little they did I thought was completely stripped from them by Oklahoma City. So you got 24 hours between now and when you got to play Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs for the first of two in San Antonio. And that's going to be the second game in as many nights. Then you got 3 and 4, and it's a part of a really tough start to the season for the Warriors. But, kind of my biggest takeaway from tonight's game, and before we get into that, 888-957-9570 is the number. Also the number for the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube and Twitch, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Also a reminder, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, always live in the free Odyssey app, and now broadcasting here from the Laughing Monk Studios. That's what a champion looks like. I know that Golden State got walloped, waxed, flattened, bulldozed, whatever word you want to use to describe them getting blown out tonight, but that is what a champion looks like. And the Oklahoma City Thunder reminded me of the 2015-16 Warriors, the greatest Warriors team that I have watched. And I know that the 2016-17 team with Kevin Durant's probably the better group, right? They have the highest form of talent, the 4 Hall of Famers in the starting lineup with Iguodala coming off the bench. But that 2015-16 team was my favorite team to watch because I thought they played a beautiful brand of basketball. I thought that Curry might have been at the peak of his powers, and they were a team that each and every night, it didn't matter who they played, they were just going to go out and win. I mean, that team it was built from the ground up. It was built with draft picks. It was built with smart trades. It was built with good signings. It was built the right way. It was built in a pure fashion. And that's why I fell in love with that team. I think many of us did who are Warriors fans, and was a big reason why they also won 73 games and obviously set the regular season record for most wins. Now, they didn't win a championship that year, but to me, that was the most fun I ever had watching a Warriors team. It's a little bit what OKC looked like tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. OKC is a homegrown group. Yes, SGA came over in a trade, granted very early in his career, but they've done it through the draft. They've done it through smart trades. They have done it organically. And the final free agent signing of Isaiah Hartenstein a couple years ago kind of sealed the deal for him. Got them to the next level, and they won a championship, and it looks like they're poised to do it again. And this is a team tonight that, oh, by the way, didn't have their second-best player. Jalen Williams has not set foot on the floor for the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. They also didn't have Aaron Wiggins, who is a rotation player for him. And instead, it was Caruso that stepped up in the place of Wiggins. They have Cason Wallace, who started the majority of this year. And they also didn't have Lou Dort tonight. Almost forgot about him. Probably their best defensive perimeter player. So this is a team that is extremely deep, that is really, really good. And similar to those old Warriors teams, it just didn't matter who was out there on the floor. They were going to kick your ass if you didn't bring it. And the Warriors tonight, while they have championship pedigree, they have plenty of experience. They obviously have a lot of young guys who are slowly developing. Clearly not fast enough. OKC is a group that is going to throttle you. And I think this is their their fourth game this year. So they've won 11 games now. This is the fourth game in which they've led by 35 points or more. They haven't won every game by 35 or more, but at one point they led by 36 in this game towards the end of the third quarter, and it was very apparent why. The Warriors were relatively powerless. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that third quarter was awesome. He had 13 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Like, I realized that SGA and his game is one that a lot of people maybe don't enjoy watching, but I'm sorry. Like, that dude is a top 2, top 3 player in this league. And it's as much about what he does on offense as I think what gets lost a lot of the times is what people just refuse to see or ignore what he does defensively. There was in the third quarter, the Thunder were up by 31 points. And with 45 seconds left, SGA is still in the jersey of both guys that he's guarding. First Buddy Hield, who he just takes it from, and then Moses Moody, who he blocks on a step-back turnaround, and they're up by 30-plus points. And he's still getting steals, getting blocks, and he's obviously going and scoring on the other end, but he's still playing hard in a game that was a blowout. I mean, that's why he's the most valuable player, and that's why he's one of the best that this game has, I think. And I think you got to tip your cap to him. As for what the Warriors didn't have tonight, I think they're veterans. Like, this is the kind of game where you need your best players to play at their best, and the Warriors, their best guys didn't have it. Like, this team is going to go, and I realize that we're sitting here and we're looking at this 82-game slog, and then we're saying, okay, if we get to the playoffs, the Warriors in a 7-game series can take this team, take that team. It's because of Curry, Butler, and Draymond. And tonight, all three of them were not good enough. Not good enough to have the Warriors in the atmosphere of the Thunder. And Curry was returning from a week-long absence, right? He was ill. But in the first half, he was 3 for 10 from the floor, 3 fouls, committed the first flagrant foul of his entire NBA career. And it was on like, the Warriors had a chance to finish the first quarter nearly down 3. And I realized that Moses Moody's late three-pointer in that shot clock with about 6 seconds left was rescinded. But it felt like, all right, the Warriors, played well in the first half. We're kind of right there, jockeying for position. Moody hits the late shot clock 3. And then on the other end, Aaron Wiggins steps back for a 30-footer. And Curry, of all people, because it seems like either he can't get that call or will try to induce that call, just kind of an inexplicable closeout, bad foul, slides under Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and he gets called for a flagrant foul. And that cost the Warriors 3 points. And instead of going into the half potentially down by 3, they end up actually, because of the shot being rescinded, they go down into the second quarter, I think, by 8. So that was a big swing, and from there, it didn't get any prettier. I thought Butler had a couple of stretches in the first half where he looked good, particularly with the second unit. I thought they gave the Warriors a nice push. You saw a little 9-0 run before that kind of end stretch that I just described. A 9-0 run with Pods. Buddy was out there contributing. Moody was shooting all right. I thought that Will Richard gave them some good minutes off the bench. He seemed like the only guy that wasn't afraid to take and make a 3 in the first half when the Warriors went 5 for, 16 from 3-point range. But when Curry doesn't have it, they're just not going to be in a lot of these games against the best kinds of teams. It's a reason why I think they got blown out in Denver on Friday, and it's the reason why they got blown out tonight. If Curry doesn't have it against OKC, they just don't really have a shot. And Steph was also a little sloppy tonight. Whether you want to say the flagrant was fair or foul, like, he committed 5 fouls in not a lot of game time, and I think he committed his 5th foul with about 9 minutes left in the third. Ticky-tack foul, but, even Bob Fitzgerald and Kalena Azubuike on the NBC telecast were calling it out. That's a foul. If you listen here on 95.7 The Game, Tim Roy was not contesting any of the calls that Curry was called for, any of the fouls that Curry was called for. He picked up 5 early, and I think Kerr kind of just made the choice to leave him in, because if he fouls out, then you get a lot of rest heading into tomorrow's back-to-back. The game was kind of out of hands anyways. And if he plays well, then maybe you find a way to get back in this game. But that clearly didn't happen, because OKC just poured it on in the third quarter and basically put this game out of reach. So that was Curry's night. Again, I think Butler he was fine for stretches, but overall, and we've learned this now over the first, couple weeks of the season, and even going back to last year too, Jimmy Butler by himself is just not good enough to help a team get over an elite group anymore. He's not at that level, and he's not at that stage in his career. I don't think Draymond Green was locked in whatsoever tonight. He's been shooting it pretty well from three. I think he's been at like 45%, but couldn't hit a shot, specifically a three-pointer. And it's almost like the moment that he misses his first one, he just then refuses to shoot. If he makes one, then he'll take another. If he makes another, it's kind of like a heat check type thing with Draymond. If one's going down, he'll keep shooting, just like you saw actually against the Nuggets. But tonight, missed first couple shots, had no confidence. There was the visible frustration in the first half where he picked up the technical foul on a play where he thought he didn't commit a shooting foul, went up, thought he got ball, didn't, immediately was screaming at the ref. And those are nights where you can just tell that Draymond is playing with frustration instead of headiness, which he's known to do. Also had 3 fouls in the first half, did Draymond Green. Curry, Green, and Pods all had 3 fouls in the first half. And this is a team that, like, I know that the Thunder are obviously a good group, but the Warriors committed 28 fouls tonight. Curry had 5, Draymond had 4, Pods had 5, and then, the back end of the roster just didn't play particularly well at all, but I don't think that was just because of the referees. Like, they just couldn't guard the Thunder. They could not stop guys from getting to where they wanted to. They did commit a couple of dumb fouls, a couple ticky-tack ones, but 28 whistles. And I don't think a lot of it was because of the referees being unfair to the Warriors. Now, the free throws didn't end up making that big of a difference, but it just made it a really clunky game. And especially in the offensive end, when they're not getting second chance opportunities. The starting lineup had 1 offensive rebound in this game. You're not getting second looks. You're getting one and dones. They didn't hit contested shots. They didn't hit 3-pointers, whether they were open or contested. Offensively, OKC just constricted them. It's just like watching a snake around a piece of varmint, just slowly wrapping its coils and making it impossible for the Warriors to get any sort of consistency going. So 888-957-9570 is the number. I know it's kind of a tough one to watch, but I think overall when we wake up tomorrow, we're going to think more about OKC than we do about Golden State, a game where you got to tip your cap to the champs, and it's a tough place to go in and play. And again, if the Warriors didn't bring it like they did, this is absolutely a result that can happen. So unfortunate, but they do fall. They've lost 6 in a row on the road and are now 6-6 at 500 heading into San Antonio tomorrow. So 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's go to David, who's hanging out in Maryland. Hanging out patiently, I might add. Thanks for calling in, David. How we doing?
Not doing so well, Evan. Hope you're doing better than I am right now.
Well, I hope by the end of this call, maybe we can be about even. Is that all right?
Hopefully.
Okay. What's up, man? How can I help?
Well, this is how I feel about everything, okay? And I just want to sum this up in just a sentence and just say I feel like DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry are not going to save this team. I think this was a really sobering night for Warriors fans, just to see the way that we got blown out by this team. And you're right. You're right. Like, this is a team that's very reminiscent of that 2015 team. I just think that they have a lot of depth. I think that the Warriors' depth that they think they have is just not what is the reality. I think OKC really showed them tonight. And you probably see a lot of Warriors fans online who you might think are overreacting, saying the dynasty is over and everything. But, with these type of matchups, you get to see where the bar is. And OKC has really set the bar up there. And I just don't believe that with, our inconsistency in scoring, we have a bunch of specialists that can do some things good, but other things that are really not good. Also, there's an argument to be made by some that Steve Kerr also doesn't always put his players in the best positions, putting them with too small lineups or, things like that. The problem with the Warriors is multifaceted. It's not just one thing. I remember back to last year when we got pretty far. I would say we got pretty lucky and got to the second round against Minnesota. I think with this team, they might have been able to squeeze past Minnesota had Curry been healthy. But if you remember back then, when Curry got injured, he was crying. He was really upset about that. And I wondered to myself, is Curry sad because he's injured, Or is Curry sad because he's injured and he knows what this could potentially mean for his team if they're not able to win one game for him while he's sitting out? And I've come to the conclusion that it's both. I think he knows that, the league is faster now. They have longer, more athletic players, and we just don't have the personnel that's going to require us to win. Now, with some trades at the trade deadline, that might change. But as of right now, if you go online, I think everyone is seeing what we used to do to OKC is what they're now doing to us, and it's because we don't have the depth that we think we do. This group isn't going to cut it, Evan. This group's just not going to cut it. And if they're not ready to make some trades, meaning Podziemski, probably Kuminga here, I just don't think it's enough. We got to get Kuminga out. We got to get Paz out. Moody has to stay. In my opinion, he's been a very consistent shooter. I'm really happy with what I've seen in him, even when we've been losing. He's been a really consistent shooter, and I just don't think that this group has it. I think we need to face the music, and big changes need to be made. But this group isn't going to cut it, Evan. It's not.
I got you, David. Well, I appreciate the call, and I might be meeting you a little more than you're meeting me. So hopefully we can find some sort of common ground. I'm with you. Yeah, this team does not look like the team that was promised this summer. That was going to, I don't know whether I want to say hit the ground running or build off of where they ended last year. I remember doing a couple shows. So for those that don't follow, myself along with my guy Dan Devone, we do a Saturday show from 9 to noon, Warriors This Week, every single week. And we talked about this, I forget if it was at the beginning of the postseason or late in the regular season. And both of us felt like last year may have been the Warriors' best chance to try and do something. Now, I don't know if they would have won a championship. I had my doubts that they would have got past OKC and in the finals. That would have been an extra 2 weeks, extra month of basketball. But the reason why I felt like last season might have been their best shot is because, number one, they kind of caught lightning in a bottle. Like, a lot of teams towards the trade deadline, towards the end of the year, they kind of know who they are, but the Warriors very quickly became a completely different team because of Jimmy Butler. Now, everyone knows who the Warriors are. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and they know that if Steph doesn't have it and you're a good team, or even if you're not a good team, even if you don't have a Giannis like Milwaukee didn't, the Warriors are gettable. And last year it didn't really feel like the case, again, because I think they quickly found something that a lot of teams were not prepared for. Number two, the teams that they matched up with in the postseason did not have much experience. Houston did not have a lot of postseason experience outside of Fred VanVleet, and you could say Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, kind of, but like their best players are really young, right? Şengün, Green, no postseason experience. If they had played Oklahoma City, I think they would have had a better chance than this season because OKC, yes, they had experience, but the furthest they'd gone was the second round of the playoffs. Now when you play them this year in the postseason, if you want to jump that team that you lost by 20-plus tonight and were down at one point by 36, you're going to have to beat a champion. And while the Warriors have more pedigree and more championship experience than just about any team in the league, that's really hard to do. And I think tonight we saw an Oklahoma City team. Like, one of the reasons why they remind me of that 2015-16 team is because that Warriors team had won a championship the year before, but they weren't satisfied. They came out like absolute gangbusters that year. They were comparing on the telecast the 2016 Warriors to this Thunder group. And yeah, the points are a little bit different, but if you kind of adjust for pace, like the net rating is really what matters. And this Thunder team is blowing people out. They have one really close loss that actually was about a footstep away in Portland from going to overtime. They might have won that game too. But that was kind of the case with that old Warriors team 10 years ago, is they just went into opposing buildings and absolutely flattened teams if you didn't have it. And it didn't matter. By the way, it didn't matter if those teams were old. It didn't matter if those teams were young. It didn't matter if those teams were in their primes and were elite. If you did not bring your A game back in the day, a decade ago, the Warriors were going to expose you. And tonight the Warriors got exposed. I think they've been exposed for a few reasons. I'm looking at this starting lineup. I'm seeing a team that has 3 non-shooters in it, right? Kuminga is not a credible three-point shooter, though he can make some. Jimmy Butler has, after the first couple of games, refused to shoot three-pointers, and I kind of understand why. He shot one from the corner today. He threw it off the side of the backboard. He took 3 total shots in this game. And I realized that he got to the free throw line, I think 4 different times. He had eight attempts, and he made all of them. But he's not a willing shooter. And then Draymond Green, you don't want taking threes. And even if he's shooting 45%, no one's going to guard him. So you have 3 non-shooters in your starting lineup. And God love Quentin Post, but if he's not making shots, he's not very useful. And remember, it was last year in the postseason where he was borderline unplayable. So you have 4 guys that are non-threats at different points for various reasons. Curry's out there by himself. And I thought the bench was probably the brightest part of the first half because they gave you a little bit of juice. I thought that Moses Moody, he's their best defender. He did the best job on SGA all night, honestly. And if I'm looking at this starting lineup, I do think it's problematic. To your point, I think it was David from Maryland, where Kerr's not putting his team in the best place to succeed. One of the things that I've continuously wondered is why you don't have your best defender starting or your best perimeter defender, because this team is consistently getting beat off the dribble. And not just by OKC, like by everybody. Like guys are just going past starting players in the Warriors left and right. I think Kuminga works hard on defense, but he's not a great point of attack. He's not better than Moses Moody. And Moody is at least capable of hitting some shots. I think that's something they got to consider. The guy who has probably been their most consistent player as far as performance and energy is Will Richard. And he's the 56th overall pick. Like, I was arguing with Dan over the weekend about how much he needs to play, and I think he's in the rotation, but it's become undeniable that this guy has been the Warriors' maybe their most consistent player. And he basically tonight, I think he kind of overtook Buddy Hield tonight. Like, we've already seen him take GP2's minutes. We've seen him take now Buddy Hield's minutes. And anytime Buddy Hield has as many assists as he does points, he's not helping you. He's not out there to pass. He's out there to shoot. And Buddy Hield right now is going through a stretch where at the beginning of the year, he's shooting like he did last year in December and January, which is not very well. And so he's not going to help you. But to the point about the starting lineup, like there were so many questions about it tonight to me that like you saw Gary Payton II, who, by the way, has been basically phased out of the rotation. You saw Gary Payton II close the first half because Quentin Post was unplayable. And they don't have anyone. Like, as much as I would love to see Kerr go and go to his bench and bring some size, Trayce Jackson-Davis turned the ball over 6 times. And I know that a lot of it was in garbage time, but I cannot turn to Trayce Jackson-Davis as a viable big because he's just not good enough. And I don't care that he's 6'9" or 6'10". When he's on the floor, the Warriors are going to get abused. And they might be better off going small. It's not like it's a great option. You got 4 players that are 6'5" and below. But I understand why Kerr turned to Gary Payton II instead of Trayce Jackson-Davis there when Quentin Post wasn't able to give you anything. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. We're taking you up until 9 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock, and then we're going to get up on out of here. I know this is a game that we got to kind of wash, but we do need to also dig into and discuss as well before the San Antonio Spurs game tomorrow night. Quick turnaround for the Dubs. In fact, they're probably headed to the airport pretty quickly here during their Southwest two-step. All right, let's go to Steel Toe, who's in San Mateo. Steel Toe, you're on with Evan Giddings here on Warriors Wrap-Up. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Evans. Yeah. I was watching the game today, and it was really weird and funny. It's like OKC has 2 7-footers in defense, right, on the starting squad, and it's like Kuminga won't be able to take advantage of scoring in the paint against 2 7-footers when nobody's guarding Draymond. And this is the reason why Kuminga's having trouble scoring in the paint, learning what to do. Nobody's guarding Draymond, and he has to score in the paint against 2 7-footers. So I'm starting to get really pissed off at Steve Kerr, man. So thank you, Evans.
Appreciate it still, Toe. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a game where you can look at everybody. I mean, even the player who you would say played the best tonight probably had a moment or two where you were like, that's just not good enough. You know, like I thought, for example, like the veterans to me were supposed to set the tone tonight. They didn't bring it. Like they didn't have it, whatever you want to call it. Curry scored 11 points on 13 shots. He was a minus 23. Minus 23. Steph Curry. He was a minus Christian McCaffrey tonight. Minus 23. And if you watch the game, you could understand why. Sure, there was a lot of defenders who were in his grill, but like he took some bad shots because those are the only ones that the Warriors could get up. He took, when Curry's taking step back long twos where his foot's on the 3-point line, and unless he's got it going, it's because he just is out of answers. He had committed 5 fouls in like 16 minutes in this game. Ironic, he only had 1 turnover, which is probably the best part of his night. But he had 0 assists. The Thunder turned Steph Curry into an inefficient scorer tonight. That's not a good sign. Draymond Green I just thought he was powerless. Jimmy Butler couldn't do much. The young guys who you're turning to. I thought there was a couple nice plays from Kuminga, but he had 5 turnovers in this game. And even when there was one stretch where he'd made a nice play. Oh, he gets a cut to the rim, and then I think it was in the third, maybe it was in the second quarter. Just want to get this right here. Kuminga is looking at the shot clock, and there's like 19 seconds left. Oh, this is the end of the first half. Because I thought the final 5 minutes of the first half they were really difficult to watch. First of all, you come out of the timeout, Steph turns it over. After Kuminga, that was what he made something out of nothing on like a nice fadeaway at the buzzer, but like it was a tough shot he had to hit. Draymond picked up a technical foul at the 2:30 mark. Steph had a long step back 2 that he missed. Kuminga stopped in the paint, tried to throw a little backdoor bounce pass to Jimmy Butler, wasn't looking for it, turns it over. SGA goes down the lane, dumps it off to Chet for a slam, and then right before the end of the half with 20 seconds left, Kuminga, as Draymond is looking at him and telling him to take the last shot of the half, goes quickly, gets to the free throw line, great job, but then he splits the free throws. And it's like now Oklahoma City has a chance to get the final shot of the half, and you got 1 point out of the possession. It's just like small little things like that. I mean, Pods was not doing anything tonight. He wasn't bad. Again, he just couldn't provide an impact on the game. I thought the bench as a whole, look, they had 16 steals tonight, and 12 of which were from the bench. I think the best stretch of basketball was when the second unit was in with Jimmy in the first quarter, and they went on like a 12-2 run. Will Richard hit actually hit 3 threes, a couple in the first half that, at least for the time, sort of stymied the momentum that the Thunder was building. But Will Richard is not going to win you a basketball game. It just there's a lot that is ugly right now with Golden State, who on the road again has lost 6 consecutive games, and it doesn't feel like they're playing very good basketball out of the gates, which is something we're not accustomed to seeing from number 1, a Warriors team, and number 2, a Warriors team that has aspirations to go far. That's the other alarming part about this, is the Warriors are a group that have championship aspirations. When they have won championships or gone far in the playoffs, they have started well. And right now they are 6-6 through 12 games. And they, got handled by OKC. They got handled by Denver. But they've also lost games to Milwaukee without their superstar. They've lost games to Indiana when they were 10.5-point favorites. Those aren't typically resume builders of champions. And that's where I can understand the sort of sobering feeling that people are having tonight. All right, we're going to step aside and come back. There was actually something that Draymond said after the game that I want to get into. Then, look, Draymond, for all of his, people would describe as perhaps shortcomings, when he speaks, he typically speaks very candidly. And I have a feeling that after this game, he had a couple of things that you're going to want to hear. Also, Steve Kerr spoke after the game as well. We're taking your calls. I see you, Griffin in Concord, and I apologize for not getting to you here, but we got to hit a commercial break. So the number is 888-957-9570. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll step aside and come back after this on 95.7 The Game.
Print. You'll get unlimited cleanings, resizings, and repairs. Plus, it even protects your engagement ring's center stone. We stand behind the quality of our jewelry, and that's our gift to you this holiday. Peace of mind. Because a friend knows the best things in life are free. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Jimmy Butler, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Stephen Curry, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line. So make sure to keep it locked on 95.7 The Game.
River Islands in Lathrop is the best-selling master plan community in all of Northern California, with its lakes, parks, trails, and collection of new home neighborhoods. The good life can be your life. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands?
Joe Shasky here for Golden State Lumber and Showroom. Consider their Stockton yard as the go-to resource for building professionals in San Joaquin County, with over 40 acres of premium building materials available to the public. For bigger jobs, you can count on Golden State's large fleet of trucks for timely delivery. It's their goal to keep your project on time and on budget. Building a better Bay Area for over 70 years. Golden State Lumber and Showroom. When you succeed, we succeed.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
For all contest rules, go to 957thegame.com/rules.
Curry waiting. Neither team have found a give. Curry straightens up on the far wing. Gets a switch. Now gets Hartenstein. Now gets doubled. Comes back on Joe. Cut off. Now doubled. Pass to Draymond. Draymond to Moody. Takes the three. It's on the way. It's good from Moses Moody. Boy, that was close. I don't know if he got it off in time.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Evan Giddings with you until 9 o'clock here on Warriors Wrap Up, taking your calls, your texts, your messages, 888-957-9570. We got Draymond Green sound coming up in just a sec. Also, Steve Kerr's full comments after a 126-102 thrashing the Warriors were handed by the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder tonight in OKC. And no rest for the weary because they got Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs coming up tomorrow night for the tail end of a back-to-back. They will get Al Horford back, but a possibility that Draymond Green will not play. That was something that Steve Kerr sort of previewed tonight before the contest, and didn't really matter whether he played or not tonight because they got absolutely waxed. All right, before we get to that sound, let's go to Griffin, who's been hanging on patiently in Concord. Griffin, thanks for calling in, man. What's going on? How are you?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Good. What do you got?
So, when the Warriors are playing their brand of basketball, it's like the best thing to watch in all of sport, right? And I think that's why when they, won their last championship, it's one of the reasons it's so nice to watch is because they maybe weren't, at the Celtics level talent-wise, but they just played the team game the best. And over the last couple of years, I've seen less and less of those sorts of games. And watching this one tonight, it was like watching the old Warriors against a team that's playing pickup. Just met each other and guys playing pickup all together, trying to compete. It was pretty rough. And I don't know. I don't know where the answer is because I don't think the personnel stack up, and I don't think the personnel they have can play their game effectively anymore. So it's tough. You just got to hope they play through it. That's all I got.
I got you, Griffin. No, I completely agree. I mean, it's kind of what I was left feeling like about midway through the third is that's Oklahoma City is just what a champion looks like. And I think they remind me of that 2015-16 Warriors team that started out extremely hot, that was coming off a championship and leveled up and got better. Oklahoma City, like those Warriors teams, they just look more determined than their opponents, and I don't think that should be taken for granted. SGA looked like the MVP of the league tonight. He completely controlled that third quarter. Chet Holmgren as his running mate, by the way, didn't have Jalen Williams, didn't have Lou Dort, and it didn't really matter tonight for the Thunder. They're that deep and they're that good, especially when a Warriors team who just got Curry back and is in the first game of a 6-game road trip and is old and not playing very well on the road, walks in and doesn't have its A game. I would argue that the Warriors didn't have their B game tonight. They had their C game, and they just got completely run off the floor. But to your point about those old teams, the Warriors' best net rating was from the 2016-17 team, the first team where they had Kevin Durant, and it was 11.2. So the margin, essentially, they were winning games by. The Thunder's tonight entering this game was 13.2, their net rating. They've already been ahead by 35-plus points in 4 games, of which they've won. They're 11-1 this year. And great teams make good teams, or on off nights, bad teams just look terrible. And they're 11-1 for a reason. They are the cream of the crop. They are the best team in basketball. And while I think coming into this season, everyone thought the Warriors would be sort of in that second tier, and maybe they still could be, it's looking like, and again, it's early, but it's looking like there's a chasm between OKC and the next best team in the Western Conference. And I am not getting a feeling that that is the Warriors, especially after starting 6-6. And they look like a totally different team on the road. Pierce Evans brought this up in our YouTube chat, the fact that Golden State at home looks like world beaters. They're averaging 120 points, thereabouts. And on the road, they're 20 points worse offensively. They cannot hit shots when they leave the confines of Chase Center. And that's something that they're going to have to figure out, because I hate to break it to them, they have 5 more road games coming up, and they only really have 1 gimme. But you've also blown a gimme, or if you consider it, 2 gimmies so far this year. And what I'm talking about is San Antonio tomorrow, San Antonio Friday, New Orleans would be the gimme on Sunday. That should be a gimme before you wrap up with Orlando, and then Miami for a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So you're not coming back until almost beyond a week from now. It's going to be a tough slog, but they gotta get through this. All right, Cam, could we please go to Draymond Green? Now, I was told by R.C. Davis, the great R.C. Davis, that Draymond had something juicy to say after this game. What is it?
Yeah, we got outplayed for sure. They played much harder.
When that happens, what do you do collectively to get it going?
You got to fight your way out of it, you know. Anytime you hit a little rut in this league, it'll never be easy. It'll never be pretty getting out of it. You got to claw your way out. And right now, that's not the identity of this team.
In your losses, you guys' turnover numbers have been really high. How is that the biggest issue right now?
It's definitely an issue. But they had 20 turnovers too, and they beat us by 30. So it's a lot more issues than just that.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the way you ended last season once Jimmy got here and what's going on right now?
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
I mean, is it personal agenda type stuff, or like, I guess how would you kind of?
I think everyone has a personal agenda in this league, but you have to make those personal agenda work in the team confines. And if it doesn't work, then you kind of got to get rid of your agenda. Or eventually the agenda is the cause of someone getting rid of you. And so, I think you don't want a team with no personal agendas, because a goal is an agenda, And so you got to have some type of personal agenda. But like I said, you got your personal agenda must fit into the confines of the team.
Where does that dynamic show up on the court?
What do you mean?
Like the lack of commitment to winning.
Getting your ass kicked by 30 shows up fast. So, yeah, it shows up really fast when you get whooped like we got whooped tonight. So.
Yeah. Draymond, these Thunder's trying to do what you guys did, win a title with young core, promising future. And then you guys built on it, multiple championships, decade-long contention. Besides having just great.
Yeah, no, I look at the rest of that interview was going to sort of shift towards OKC. I think we heard what RC was talking about. Draymond is speaking about a non-commitment to winning and personal agendas, not working in the confines of the team. That's a problem, especially when it's only 12 games into a season. And I don't know who he's talking about. I don't know if he's pointing the finger at an individual. I don't know if he's pointing a finger at the entire team. That's kind of the way I lean right now. It's not just about one guy. I think it's about a lot of players. And I also think he's talking about himself. I think Draymond Green is beginning to see that if this season does not turn around quickly, that this might be the end of the road. Not just for him, but for the Warriors. Like, Draymond Green was talking like he was staring into the face of basketball mortality right there. I haven't heard Draymond that downtrodden in quite some time. Like, that was pretty honest and also pretty concerning, to be quite frank. Like, if I'm listening to Draymond Green in Game 12 of because like they've had rough patches, and Draymond's been honest before, and he's been talking about kind of the reality of a season, got to get stuff turned around and all this stuff. But I don't think he's ever been that straight to the point about people not being committed on a team that he's been a part of. So to hear that after Game 12, and I realize that he sounds frustrated, and one of the things that I do appreciate about Draymond Green is just how honest and candid he can be even when he's pissed and still go to the podium and talk about these things. But I don't like hearing that whatsoever. And in fact, that might be the biggest takeaway of this game. Like, I think a lot of tonight just simply had to do with Oklahoma City, but I think what Draymond is talking about is bigger than that. He's talking about what's happened on the road in a few of these games that have piled up and then have essentially together, combined, resulted in the final feeling that he's stuck with tonight, which is they got absolutely dragged in Denver. They blew a game at relatively full strength to an Indiana Pacers team they should not have lost to. They lost to a Milwaukee team that, down Giannis, they should not have lost to. I mean, this team on the road just looks completely different. And, a lot of times I feel like teams struggle on the road because the environment's tougher. Your role players don't usually play as well. You don't shoot as well generally. And you have to play. I think you have to be more focused, and you have to have a higher level of energy for a longer period of time. It's tougher. But Cam, is there any way that let's go to Steve Kerr first. Let's listen to Steve Kerr, and then if you could cut or go through just that one little portion where he's talking to Friedel and Slater and I think Danny Emmerman about what happened there. Could we do that? So let's listen to Steve Kerr's comments first before we get back into Draymond.
Well, we had 12 turnovers at halftime, and they didn't feel like they were forced. They just, from the defense. I mean, obviously OKC's got a great defense and a great team, but felt like mostly decision-making. And so we've got to make better decisions if we're going to be a good team, and I've got to do a better job of, putting our guys in position to do so.
I mean, Jen, how alarming is this performance
Well, I could feel we weren't in a great place, coming back from Indiana and Milwaukee, that you could just feel that things weren't quite clicking, and that I thought that continued. I mean, we got a couple of wins in there, but we're not playing well, and we haven't been playing well for, really since, the second week of the season. So it doesn't feel right, what's happening right now on the floor, the way we're playing, the way we're approaching things. Guys are, they're trying. It's not like it's a lack of effort, but like we're not crashing. all the things we did at the end of last year when we got good, take care of the ball, crash, create good shots for each other, win the possession battle. We're not doing any of those things right now.
I mean, those are mostly kind of like offensive things. I mean, is that the end of the floor that you feel like is going the most?
Well, it's always connected. I know I've said this to you guys, but when we got Jimmy last year, our defense skyrocketed, and it wasn't because we changed schemes, and it wasn't because Jimmy was like Dikembe Mutombo out there. It's just we took care of the ball, and the game connected. The game made sense, and the crashing, getting offensive rebounds, it dramatically helps your defense. I mean, you gain extra possessions, you jam transition. First half, we didn't crash at all. I think we had one offensive rebound. So I got to do a better job. I've got to find, the keys that can get us to getting some confidence and some rhythm back.
Steve, how'd you feel about Steph's return tonight?
Well, it's great to see him out there. Didn't surprise me that he wasn't sharp. He hasn't done anything in a week, and other than a couple workouts the last 2 days. So glad to have him back, obviously, and glad that he could get his feet wet and hopefully find his rhythm here soon.
Do you expect Draymond and Al to both play tomorrow night?
I expect Al to play. Draymond would be questionable. He has played in every game to this point, and frankly, I think he needs a rest. So tomorrow might be a night where we do that. I've got to talk to him and the performance team.
You're going to see more length and athleticism the rest of this trip. Just what are the keys to countering and beating teams?
Well, being solid with the ball. So, we had so many one-hand, left-hand fling passes tonight that were turnovers. Like, the game is about being solid and about fundamental play. And you watch Jimmy out there, and he plays off 2 feet, and he never gets out of control. And we can't come out and be fundamentally lacking and expect to beat the best team in the league on their home floor. So we got to find a way to be more solid, and we'll obviously assess everything like we always do, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I think pretty understandable stuff from Coach Kerr tonight. Obviously didn't want to make it sound worse than it was, but this is really, to me, the bigger takeaway. This is from Draymond Green talking after the 102 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got about 10 minutes here left on Warriors wrap-up, so I want to get into this, kind of give you my final thoughts. If you want to call in, 888-957-957, we'll get your final calls in and your texts as well, but just want to play this for you and then give you some final thoughts on the way out.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the way you ended last season once Jimmy got here and what's going on right now?
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that any way possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
I mean, is it personal agenda type stuff, or like, I guess how would you kind of?
I think everyone has a personal agenda in this league, but you have to make those personal agenda work in the team confines. And if it doesn't work, then you kind of got to get rid of your agenda, or eventually the agenda is the cause of someone getting rid of you. And so, I think you don't want a team with no personal agendas, because a goal is an agenda, And so you got to have some type of personal agenda. But like I said, you got your personal agenda must fit into the confines of the team.
Where does that dynamic show up on the court?
What do you mean?
Like the lack of commitment to winning.
Getting your ass kicked by 30 shows up fast. So, it shows up really fast when you get whooped like we got whooped tonight.
It sounds like to me what Draymond is saying is And a night like tonight, you saw it. I think against Denver to some extent, you saw it. I mean, really, they're they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. The Warriors are playing more as individuals than they are as a team right now. And that's concerning because we're only 12 games into the season. And on the road, it seems to be glaringly apparent. They got 5 more games on the road. And they're going to have to survive this extremely tough stretch to begin this year. But him saying that compared to last season, they're not playing like they're doing everything and anything to win, that's troublesome. Because when Jimmy Butler got here, this was a team that clicked extremely quickly. This was a team that almost didn't skip a beat. Jimmy Butler got in here and they won 23 of 30 games. They won 85% of their games that Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph were available for. And you can throw the cheap schedule at me all you want. There wasn't that many cheap games. They had some quality wins. They beat some good teams. And they did it sometimes in 3 out of 4 nights. They did it sometimes in 5 out of 8 nights. So for them to already be looking in the mirror this early in the year, that's something that should raise... That's going to pop up on the radar of a lot of Warriors fans tomorrow when people wake up and see that quote. And especially for Draymond Green to say it. That's more concerning to me, honestly, than the game itself. Draymond Green looking around at the guys in the locker room and wondering if they're all in on this season, that's concerning to me. Everyone was committed to winning after the Butler trade last season and doing that any way possible. Right now, it doesn't feel that way. That seems like Draymond is basically calling everyone out for playing like individuals. And I also hope that he would put himself in that category. I think he would, because if Draymond Green was playing like a top 3 defensive player of the year like he was at the end of last season, I don't think that they would be getting 126, 129, 120, 114 drop dom them the way they have in the last 4 losses that he's participated in. All of which, by the way, have been on the road. Sometimes when you're on the road and your young guys aren't stepping up, you got to look to your veterans. And on a night like tonight, the Warriors had to look at their veterans to lead the way, and they couldn't do it. Between Curry, between Butler, between Draymond, those guys did not have it tonight. It's a big reason why against the best team in basketball and the defending NBA champs, they got absolutely waxed. They do have to look at themselves in the mirror, and I hope they keep mirrors on the plane because that's what they're going to be on in a few minutes headed to San Antonio for a matchup with arguably the best up-and-coming team in basketball, the San Antonio Spurs. It does not get any easier. And so while I'm glad that Draymond said it, because clearly this is something he's been sitting on if he's willing to go public with it, 12 games into a year, we're already talking about individuals and egos and agendas. That's a red flag. That's a red flag for the Warriors. We talked about green flags and red flags today on 95.7 The Game. That's a red flag for sure. All right. I appreciate everybody that chimed in tonight, everybody that called in, everybody who texted on the Boxer and Gerson work injury attorneys text line from the 408 here. None of us can outrun the aging process. We're an older team with ineffective youngsters. That certainly could be what's going on here. 626 Dub Nation outraged at the way they're playing lousy basketball on the road. Got to get it together ASAP. I think that was a shot across the bow by Draymond Green. 650. It's basically a Jordan Poole pinch. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't think he's talking about one person. I could be wrong about that. I don't think he's talking about one person. I think he's talking about a lot of people. Could be the coaching staff too. I mean, again, they've lost 5 of 7 games, all of which, by the way, on the road. So they got to solve it by this time tomorrow. I will be with you tomorrow, by the way, after the Warriors take on the Spurs. A little bit of an early tip, 5 o'clock. So Willard and Dibbs will have Warriors live for you beginning at 4 o'clock. I got you on Warriors wrap-up for postgame. But we're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow, and I can guarantee you that Draymond Green cut is going to be a big part of it. From 6 to 10, Joe Spadoni, Joe Shasky. From 10 to 2, Guru's back tomorrow, so it'll be Steiny and Guru. And then obviously Wilder Dibs right into Warriors Live, and I'll have you for Warriors Wrap after the Warriors play the Spurs. Hopefully a very different team shows up tomorrow against San Antonio. Hopefully a team not concerned with agendas and not individuals, but a team shows up to play the Spurs. Because if not, the same result that happened tonight, 126-102, may very may well happen tomorrow. All right, again, big thank you to everybody that chimed in. Thank you to everybody who texted in. Our YouTube chat, faithful as always. My name is Evan Giddings saying so long from our 95.7 The Game Laughing Monk Studios. Cameron Williams, our network coordinator. Stephen Pasta Risotto cutting things up in the back for us. We'll talk to you tomorrow on your home for Golden State Warriors basketball, 95.7 The Game.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Jimmy Butler, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Stephen Curry, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line. So make sure to keep it locked on 95.7 The Game.
River Islands in Lathrop is the best-selling master plan community in all of Northern California, with its lakes, parks, trails, and collection of new home neighborhoods. The good life can be your life. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands?
Format for this season's All-Star Game, the U.S. versus the world in Los Angeles in February. To college basketball, number 6 Michigan won in overtime against Wake Forest 85-84. 10th-ranked Florida edged Florida State 78-76. Illinois won its top 20 matchup against Texas Tech 81-77. Louisville beat Kentucky 96-88. The American League Manager of the Year, Stephen Vogt of Cleveland. The Brewers' Pat Murphy, the NL Skipper of the Year.
It just sucks.
This is the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. He's a New York Jets, Mets, and Knicks fan.
Guiding the Knicks ship downward into oblivion.
As you all